Hello and welcome to another episode of the Kennel NRL podcast. And let me tell you guys, it is going to be a heck of an episode. There's a lot that's happened. When I forgot that we played a game against the Dolphins 5 days ago. It's been a hell of a week. There's a lot to talk about, but before that, a big warm welcome to Dibbo, always here to go on the ride with us. How you doing, Dibbo?
Good, mate. What a weekend that was, eh? Gee whiz. Just the sort of headlines that rugby league needed, just the sort of drama. Mate, there's going to be some blockbusters coming up. And, yeah, I just can't wait, actually.
Can you believe we've barely spoken about Origin? It's been one of those days. It's been one of those weeks. And today we do have a third host on the show.
Nice. Here he is.
G'day, gentlemen. Nice to see you both.
Mate, excited.
Welcome back.
Mate, it's so good to be here. You know what? As soon as I get the text, the call up, it's like I'm making my first grade debut. You know what I mean? coming off the bench for the Kennel Podcast. I'm hoping I can come up with a try, man, like some of those debutants last weekend.
Mate, you've your second game in first grade. Let me tell you, your first game.
Yeah, second game for me.
Hey, Red, can you maybe hold that microphone closer to you? Because I think Brian's saying in the chat that he can't hear you as clear as everyone else.
Can you hear me now?
Me?
No,
me.
Brian.
I'm the problem.
Red. That's better now.
Is it better or?
Yeah, you sound a bit clearer now, a bit louder. Yeah.
Give me a second. Let me try. I'm not sure why this is happening. Always some issue. Testing.
Yeah,
is that better?
A bit better. Yeah,
I can hear you loud and clear.
All right, awesome. We've got a lot to talk about today. And I think, you know what, we're going to get straight into it right now because there's a lot that's happened. Look, we lost to the Dolphins 44-0, but I don't think anyone cares at the moment about what the score was or what happened in that game because so much has happened since then. Obviously the talk of the town at the moment, there's no getting around it. It's Lachlan Galvin. So it looks like at the 11th hour on Saturday, Lachlan Galvin has said, you know what, screw the Eels. They're a crap team. I'm going to go to the Dogs. Now, if you're a Doggies fan, or if you're a rugby league fan, I think it was obvious that Sexton was coming to the Dogs, given that he wanted development, he wanted a good coach, all the things. I think it made sense that he was coming to the Bulldogs. A lot of pundits called it. The Dogs fans called it, but it's looking more likely than ever that he'll be coming to the Bulldogs. There's a lot of things we're going to discuss about it, but I want to hear just some quick general thoughts. So to give me a 30-second spiel on what you think. I'll start with Dibbo, seeing as he's the outsider. I'll get his thoughts, then we'll jump to you, John.
Just on what's eventuated over the weekend?
Just about Galvin coming to the Dogs and how it's all happened. Just a quick 30-second, your thoughts.
Well, I guess the Dogs weren't going to die wondering, never say never. They could have not done anything and tried to sign him, and then after a few years or 5 years, could have sat there and thought, oh, what could have been, So I thought, you know what? Let's take the gamble. What have they signed him on 3-year, 4-year deal?
2 and 3.5.
He's already displayed enough to show that he's got a lot of talent. So, the good thing with salary cap these days, it does go up every 3 or 4 years. I mean, he's only got a three-year contract still to run. So they got they're building towards a good pack. They saw the opportunity, they took it. Obviously, they didn't sit there and try to pamper and appease everyone in the process. And that's how you conduct business. You only appease to who it matters. And, they blindsided all stakeholders or all parties involved and sealed the deal and got what they wanted. And they don't have to sit there die wondering all these years later. So I was actually happy for the Dogs when they pulled it off, to be honest. I know a lot of people are disgruntled, saying it's destabilised the team and all that. And it's going to ruin the momentum this year. Look, to be fair and honest, I think he's just doing well, sitting pretty. But I think this really bolsters your team, regardless whether it's going to be this year or it's going to be in the medium to long term. I think, it's worth the gamble. That's how I see it, Johnny.
I 100% agree with you, man. It's so good to be on here with you, even in that beautiful red and white you're wearing, which is I want to, gouge out my eyes. Nah, honestly, good to see you. But on I love you, Divo. On Galvin, mate. Years ago, probably 3-4 years ago, we would have absolutely laughed at the idea that top quality young talent would be attracted to come and play for the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs, and for a fraction, well, not a fraction, but maybe even a fraction of what his real long-term value is going to be. I mean, $750,000, 3.5 years. I mean, I know he hasn't proven himself in the top grade as a top tier player, but everyone's earmarked him as a future top tier player. And to get him at 750 grand just before we get all these new teams coming in, Papua New Guinea and Perth, and everyone's going to want to be jumping at him. To get him at that price, to get him at maybe cheaper than what Parramatta was going to pay for him, to come and play for the Bulldogs, you know what that tells me? It tells me that Canterbury is finally a club that has built good foundations, and we've got ourselves to a position where talent, the future footballers that are going to, be at top of the game, we got a chance at signing those and building a club with a winning attitude. And man, I'm 100% for it.
I completely agree with the both of you. So the thumbnail for this is episode is, have the Bulldogs made a mistake, with an arrow pointing to Lachlan Galvin. I just want to categorically state this for everyone who sort of didn't get that this was just me trying to capture some attention for the episode. No, they have not made a mistake. In fact, I think that a lot of Doggies fans are quick to make some judgments or have very, very short memories about just how far Ciraldo and obviously Gus have brought us in a very, very short space of time. 2 years ago, less than 2 years ago, we lost to a shit Knights 66-0. It's a day I'll never forget as a Doggies fan. It's a podcast episode I'll never forget recording. Less than 2 years later, not even 2 full seasons later, we are first on the ladder. And first comfortably as well. We've won games tough. We've won games easy. We've kept teams scoreless. We've kept multiple teams scoreless. And I think look, I don't blame Doggies fans for being worried about what's happened. Clearly, we're still scarred by the poor 5 or 6 years that we've had, and that's fair enough. But when an opportunity to sign a player like Galvin comes, and you have the opportunity to do it, and you know that you've got the systems that he wants to be a part of, if you don't go for it, that's almost mismanagement. I think that's almost mismanagement. Can you imagine, right? Gus Gould has the opportunity to at least talk to Galvin and his manager, and Gus Gould sits back and says, oh, no, you know what? I'm worried about the moral police. I'm worried about the numpty fans that have no idea what they're talking about, that they're going to judge me. I'm worried about journalists writing some articles. It doesn't make sense as a general manager of football, and it doesn't make sense as a coach not to be interested in someone like Galvin. And as fans, I think we need to remember that, after Ciraldo's first year, everyone was like, is he going to be good enough? After last year, we're like, yeah, this guy's got the goods. Now we know he's a proven first-grade coach. And I think we've got to back him. We've got to back him to the hills, in my opinion.
What you said there is 100% right. If you don't mind me jumping in to say this, 2021 roster, 30 men deep, are pretty much completely gone. Bulldogs have cleaned out the whole loser mentality we had going on there 3, 4, 5 years ago. We did that obviously by building within, working on pathways, but largely by recruitment. Okay, so you can't turn around when a club has found success recruiting the best quality talent they can find. I mean, we pillaged the inside of Penrith Panthers. Some might disagree, but I think we did take a lot of their quality talent and assistant coach. To turn around and say now that we've found success, that we have to change that approach all of a sudden? Why rock the boat when we're at the top of the table? Why would you try and create some sort of disharmony? Guys, once you set a winning pattern, whether it's in business, in football, and anything else, you have to stick to doing what makes you win. You don't build all that up to then turn around and say, okay, we've reached the climax, we're not going to actually continue recruitment. Guys, when the best potential future half or lock, whatever you want to call him, is on the market, if you're not in that conversation, you're not doing your job as the head of football, general manager, you're not doing your job as a recruiter at the club. So 100%, I want to be in the conversation. If those conversations are happening, I want my team, our club, to be in that conversation.
And I want to quickly mention three things, just sort of, it's outside direct footy. Firstly, massive congratulations, John, and your company winning an award recently. You guys won, was it a business best medium? Sorry, what was the award?
Well, we won the local business awards actually last night, man. Thanks for bringing that up. It was a shock to us.
Nice.
Thank you, Dibbo, Elmo. Yeah, we won best inner west local business in Sydney. So it was a shock to us. About there's about 100 businesses there, probably 1,000 applicants, and they dragged us up, man. I didn't have a speech prepared. All I could think about was just wanting to say, "Go the Bulldogs." You know what I mean?
Say it, brother. You should have said, "Go the Doggies."
Actually, so no, thank you so much.
No, massive congratulations, man. And I want to just give a couple of shout outs. Jamie Teasdale has been a member for 10 months and just gave us a super chat. I have to mention this quickly. We got jibbed out of Dibbo wearing a Doggies jersey. Last week we did say if the Doggies beat the Dolphins, he would wear a Doggies jersey. Unfortunate, he did make the bet when we had 15, 11, 12 players missing. So that was well played by you. Also want to welcome Living Life. I just became a member on YouTube. Thank you so much, Living Life. Really look forward to having you here and welcome. And guys, if you did want to become a member, it's $6 a month, whatever it is, just helps us pay for all the tools that we use and all the stuff that we use to put all the content together. So a big thank you to Living Life and welcome. So they were what I wanted to just quick things that I wanted to.
Good on you guys for joining. 100% support the channel. And you won't regret it.
And so there's a lot of comments coming in about, have we started bashing Sexton yet? Eddie Abs makes a great point. He says, don't forget the Storm have 258-2. Well, actually, I think the Storm have 3 fullbacks and a dummy half. Munster was originally a fullback. Hughes was originally a fullback. Pappy's obviously a fullback, and they've got Grant. I'm not saying that we can do the same as Melbourne, but I am saying that we can make it work. And we've seen that our team or our wins, probably the only dependent or key man dependency we have is Critter. And I think everybody else, it's been shown that we can have that next man up mentality as long as it's not 11 next men up. I think that's sort of the limit. The limit is 10 next men up. I think is where we can have a limit. But
Elmo, if you don't mind me asking you a question now, with Galvin coming in, where would you what would be your lineup? What would be your spine? Your 1, 6, 7, 9. How would you rearrange your team if it was your choice? So, I guess before we get to that, I probably want to talk a little bit about. Do you guys think, is Galvin going to disrupt the team before we even see where he sits? Right? Is he going to disrupt the team? And then it's an interesting thought because, look, I think no doubt there's going to have to be some changes made and some adaptation to the team, to the dynamic of the team. I think to the role that Critter's going to play in this is going to be really, really important as well. But I think there is going to be some adjustment to it, right? There's going to be an adjustment to Galvin coming in, and who knows where he fits. But there is going to be some disturbance there because someone's going to have to make room for him, whether it's Haywood, which I highly doubt, Sexton, which looks like it will be, Mahoney. Does Mahoney make way? Does Burton move to centre or fullback or whatever? There's definitely going to be some sort of disruption to the team. However, I don't think it's going to be as bad as people are making out. I think that this call has been made not only by Gus, but also by Cameron Ciraldo. And I get the feeling that Critter, Kickow,
a couple of the other older guys in the team would have been told that this is what we're planning to do, and we need you on board to make sure that everything's stable. I don't think that they make this call without speaking to the leadership team, and I think everybody was on board before these decisions were made. Mind you, I don't think Gould and Ciraldo had it all their way. I think that the board would have questioned them, would have challenged their assumptions on Galvin and bringing him to the team. The board would have absolutely forced Gould and Ciraldo to dot their I's and cross their T's, because Adam Drucey and John Perry are very impressive individuals. These guys are not pushover CEOs or pushover board members that are there for the name. Drucey is intimately involved. And so while I understand people think that this is going to rock the boat a little bit, I actually think that this is going to, if anything, it's going to make the Tigers look worse, because this guy's going to come to us, and I think very, very quickly he's going to make a massive mark, even bigger than he has before.
You've just dropped out.
Sorry?
Oh, now you're back on.
No, so I was just giving my thoughts. And what do you guys think? Do you think that this club has been done, or this move is a haphazard move, or do you think that people have made, or the club has taken some precautions here?
Dibbo, do you want to go?
Oh, man, what a headache to have. He's going to fit into 17 somewhere. He might even be played at lock. He's a small lock at the moment, obviously. He'd be probably your fittest player, though. He was the fittest player at the West Tigers. He's going to start off the bench. Oh, the dynamics just... It's a tough one. It's another tough one. Like, I was just comparing Canterbury Bulldogs to the Bermuda Triangle last week, because the position's been so difficult to figure out. I can't figure them out. And now this signing... I'll see where he slots in next year. Of course, this year, like, it's going to be a domino effect. He has to play. You've signed him on big bucks. He has to play. You can't just leave him outside the 17. Then at the same time, you have Bailey Haywood. Like, he's playing well. You got your starting halves. They've won 90% of their games this year. I think about 80% combined career-wise together. You got, like, what happens? Like, you don't really have those injuries to the positions they are in. Like, and then what happens when Jamin Salmon comes back? Who, is he gonna fill the lock void? Like, there's a case to leave him out, of course. There might even be a case to leave Bailey Haywood out of the 17, but it's just, I don't think it ruins the team dynamic. If anything, it's just players, a decent player misses out. I think he's another weapon. I think when I mean another weapon, he's going to be a much needed attacking weapon. That's what it's going to be. You guys could be putting sides to the sword now, like 40, 50 plus, if things go well. Like, he's another attacking threat. I didn't like the Tigers' style. I thought it was stifling him, really. Anyways, that's probably why he wanted to get out, because he likes seeing more of the ball. So that's what I observed anyway. Don't worry about the noise coming from the Tigers. Of course, they're going to talk negative about him and try to downplay and whatnot. Mr. Yusuf Kabara, welcome to the chat. So I'm just going for the comments. The weakest link, Montoya is the weakest link. He's not wrong there. I actually floated putting Sherry on the wing, to be fair.
A lot of people have said that.
Look, there's a more experienced person than I am that's actually played first grade in. Omar actually was the guy. He actually said that he'd think Sherry would probably struggle on the wing, but he's gun at centre. So somebody that's played first grade to tell me that, I actually took his opinion and listened.
What are your thoughts, John?
On your opinion on disruption, now look, I don't want to disagree with you, Elmo and Dib. Like, we 100% agree that this was the right decision for the club. But look, I think we'll be kidding ourselves a little bit if we don't say there's going to cause some disruption. These are my peripheral thoughts around disruption. Number one, I played a bit of football growing up, and I know how Canterbury Bankstown works, the way they run their team. If you don't do a pre-season there with them and you come in mid-season, there's going to be an element of, have you earned the trust of the playing group? Do you know everyone in the club? Are you going to come to the table and be part of the culture of the club, because like 2 weeks ago you were a West Tiger, now you're a Bulldog. There has to be some element of who's this guy. The other thing is it's become very clear that it looks like Sexton's on the outer. Now, no matter what you think about his playing acumen, there may be a sentiment in the playing group that he's just a good bloke. There may be a sentiment that he got a rough deal or he's being left to the side. So who's not to say that, yep, Druisi and everyone, did a good job in bringing him in, and I'm sure Critter and the leadership group will do their best to push forward. But on the same time, we don't want to kid ourselves and say it's going to be smooth sailing. Man, even the media disruption we're having, the amount of articles, don't tell me the players don't read the news. Don't tell me they don't watch the podcast and they don't read the comments, right? There's going to be an element of that. It's going to be in their heads. Disruption is disruption. All I would argue is, yes, there's going to be disruption. Yes, that's also on top of the fact we had 11 players out in that last game. So we've got injury, suspension, origin to contend with. It's a disrupted time of year anyway, but I'm saying the disruption is worth the sacrifice, because in the long term, this is the right move for the club.
See, here's the thing, right? Sure, team dynamic, sure this, sure that. Look, I agree with you 100%. But I think, well, firstly on Sexton, let's just come straight out and say it.
Yeah,
Sexton was not going to be re-signed, right? Sexton has been off contract and could sign with a rival since November 1st of last year, right? The media has asked Gus Gould, Cameron Ciraldo, everyone in the club about Sexton for 6 months. And for 6 months, the club has been non-committal on re-signing Toby Sexton. So to say that this is a result of Galvin coming to the club, I don't think so. I think that all this has done is put an exclamation mark on what has already been a stated fact. And that fact is that Sexton was not going to be re-signed for whatever reason, right? He was not going to be re-signed. I think it's fairly obvious. Even before the Galvin talk was happening, we were like, why isn't he re-signed? And there were rumors coming out that he hasn't re-signed. And there were rumors that, the Dogs didn't want him. And this has been happening for months. So this whole idea that it's Sexton, this, Sexton, that, I disagree. Look, I thought Sexton's been good, but I was actually having a chat with a few boys watching the Donkeys last week, and I think it's clear that Sexton as a 7 doesn't provide any danger. You're not scared as an opposition player when Sexton's got the ball. You look at other 7s in the competition, you're like, oh crap, Reynolds has the ball.
He's not a physical threat. He's not a big guy. He's a tiny guy compared to Galvin. He doesn't bring any physical presence.
But even a running game, passing game, like he's got good kicking in him, but as a passing game, like it's not like his passing is the weapon, is like, he's going to throw this short ball, this long ball. There's something, like for example, Dearden, I don't even think Dearden is a good enough 6. He's not a great 6. But people know that this guy's got the dummy. And even though people know it, he still gets it away. So he's got that in his arsenal. Whereas I think like when you look at Sexton, he's good all-rounder, but he doesn't stand out in any one thing at all. And so like, I've been a big fan of Sexton, and I actually think we can win a grand final with him because he's not a key man dependency. I don't think he's a key man dependency for the Bulldogs. So, for the media to say to themselves, or come out with his bullshit now, or his manager to come out and say, he's leaving because Galvin's coming. Dude, you weren't going to be re-signed. Don't sit here and say you were leaving because you weren't going to be re-signed. It's just his manager spinning bullshit. The other thing about Mahoney, look, I would have liked to have kept Mahoney. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm happy Mahoney's going. Mahoney hasn't played the best, but Mahoney was there in the tough times, and he's still here now. And I think that with Mahoney and all, we can win a grand final. I think we absolutely can. However, is Hayward more dangerous at dummy half? Do we want to be honest with each other, or do we want to talk shit? I think that Bailey Hayward is better at 9 this year anyway than Mahoney's been. He's faster running, right? He's got a more crisp passing and service out of dummy half from the ground, right? And he's not slow. He doesn't take a crab walk and then pass. And that's the thing with Mahoney, is that Mahoney's got the niggle in him. His passing isn't a script. Having said all that, if he stays, I'd love to keep him. But we know, and even Good came out and said, in the off-season, in 2020, late 2024, right, he came to the Dogs asking about his contract for 2026, 2027. And the club then made it clear that they're non-committal. They don't know. And so the manager is trying to figure out the best next move for his player. You can't begrudge that. You can't begrudge that at all. Good on them for doing that. But all of a sudden, the media is trying to pick on these little guys like, the Bulldogs destabilized here, the Bulldogs destabilized there. Actually, I don't think this is the case at all. I think that it is a media beat up, and there's a bigger issue at play here, which is Gus Gould, but we'll get into that. But what do you guys think?
Man, if you don't mind me jumping in to say on that particular issue, Reid Mahoney was running around as captain or co-captain before Steve Crichton came along, correct?
That's right.
And look, for someone to go from a captaincy position, no matter how you dress it up, Steve Crichton's the greatest ever, and he is a great captain, and we know that he's the right man for the job. But it's a demotion, all right. So the writing has been on the wall for Mahoney for a while now. If you say it's a demotion just because Stephen Crichton is better, well then that begs the question. We went out against the Dolphins last week, and Steve Crichton wasn't playing. Who did we name as our captain? Viliami Kikau.
Yeah,
so if you're the former captain of the team, and now all of a sudden even the former captain's not available, and you're not being named captain, well, I have to say then it seems like the club has decided that you are not really part of the leadership group, and you will not be there long term. So Sexton and Mahoney, yes, I would say same. I could keep both of them in the top 30. I could keep them both somewhere in the top 30.
Yeah,
I'm with you on that one. But the club has decided that for us to go the next level, and this is what's exciting. It's exciting that now that we have signed Galvin mid-season, we're bringing forward our expectation for a 26-27 premiership to 2025.
I agree. 100%. I think that people are missing out just how good Lachlan Galvin is and how good he was in a team that won the wooden spoon. Like, you sort of have to take a step back and think this dude was 18 in a team that won the wooden spoon. Excuse me. Under a coach he didn't really want to play under, at a team he didn't want to be at, and still performed the way he did. And even in the beginning of the year, the way he played, like, it's clear the kid plays well above his age, well above his experience level. And to bring him into a system like the Bulldogs, it for me, it excites me. Can you imagine he comes out and he absolutely kills it against the Eels, even if it's off the bench? The Tigers are going to look so horrible because this kid didn't want to play underneath them. He played poorly the last couple of weeks with them. Comes to a team that wants him there, and then smack bang, this guy's killing it. Like I think that again, it's the media beat up, and someone's mentioned that I think it was Yusuf Kabara mentioned that the Dogs get a rough go of it because Gus Gould is a media personality. I really quickly want to point out a couple of super chats. MKTV, love the boys, keep up the good work. Love you, MK. You're always here to support us, man. We really appreciate your support.
Brad Cameron.
And Brad, always here as well. Gus the sneaky snake, planned it all along to get Galvin to replace Sexton. Nice plan, Gus, you snake. Love it. You know what's interesting about this? Actually, before that, I just want to get Dib's thoughts. Dibbo, what are your thoughts about Galvin, that work, changes, work.
I don't think do you guys realize how good you guys got it? Honestly.
Mm-hmm. We're so lucky.
Do you want to know how good things are falling into your place? Because Lachie Galvin doesn't come cheap, all right? You got some players on big money, right? Just sign the player on, what is it, 750 or something. They don't find the money in the cap. So how much is Reid Mahoney on? 500? Am I right in saying about 500?
He's more. He's on about 650. 650.
Oh, let's just say 500. Worst case,
a lot of money,
right?
yeah.
500 is a lot of money. Anyway, show you how the dominoes fall into place. Reece Robson's left the Cowboys. He's going to the Roosters. The Cowboys don't have a hooker. Reid Mahoney is a Queenslander on the cusp of Origin selection. It's been like that for a few years. I think he turned them down a few years ago. Am I right? When he was at Para, he turned them down.
Potentially.
Origin.
Can't remember.
I think because he had a niggling injury, he couldn't play, or he told him, look, I'm going to injure myself, or something like that anyway. So he's gone. I think Sexton will head back to Gold Coast. And matter of fact, I don't think the Dogs have not hard done him. Do you remember he was on the outer at the Gold Coast?
Yeah.
Who gave him a lifeline?
The Bulldogs.
I still remember the story when it broke. Sexton and his dad packed up and they drove down in their whatever SUV, literally packed up and left Gold Coast at 9 or 10 o'clock at night. Got to Sydney in the morning. The sun was just coming up, and he went straight to training. You know, that's how
amazing.
desperate he was for opportunity. The Dogs gave him that opportunity. And there was a good push from the fans to the Bulldogs to give this guy a chance ahead of Hutchison. This was not last year, before last year. Then the Dogs had a good run to finish their season. You know? And then last year, Hutchison got the first dibs again. And the fans put a lot of pressure on the Bulldogs. You know, I'm sure management had in mind, it's time to give Sexton, but it helps when your club supporters putting pressure. I'll tell you, they don't ignore the white noise coming from outside in sections on socials and all that. The fans have a big say. You know, when the fans aren't happy, the club suffers. Like, you know, everyone's going to turn away. So they've got to appease the fans at the same time. So, if anything, he's got to have fond memories of Canterbury. But you're freeing up the cap. I think it's good. Like, the Dogs shouldn't be scared to make the tough decisions. Like, you just signed, there's a few young guns coming through. Their values will rise. Kickout, how old's Kickout this year? 30?
Hey, don't go any Kickout, huh?
How old is he? You can't keep him forever.
He'll be there for
a
while.
Group of players, you don't want to keep them past the use-by date. If you look at the great teams of the past, they built the dynasties. They'll probably keep them 5-6 years and move them on. Look at St. George 11 in a row. They didn't use the same players.
We'll win a grand final with Kickout. Kickout will get a grand final with the Dogs.
I think. Is he on a lot of money?
Yeah, I think he's on about 800,000.
I reckon get another year out of him and move him on. You've signed Finn Latu, you got Jack Tide, you got a few young guns. Their value will go. Other clubs will come after him.
Do you know what, Dibbo?
I
don't think you realise how important Kickout is to us.
He's replaceable.
Do you know what I like about what you're saying, Dibbo? It's that you're advocating for the young talent in the teams, and I think it's a Phil Gould thing. There's something about getting the young guns in. We saw that.
You don't want to use the experienced heads for too long. So those young guns are fed off him. Sometimes they become surplus required. It's a rugby league food chain, Mr. Red. You know, a career's about 10 years. He's at, you know, so I'm sure if he's not at the peak of his powers, he's close to the peak of his powers. But I'll tell you now, he's probably heading towards a decline. Not a steep decline, but it doesn't hurt to move him on to free up money to retain the young bulls on the rise. So you stay at the top.
I think Kicks is here until he decides to leave, and the Perth team or the PNG team comes in and gives him $2 million. I think that the kicker is an important part of our team.
He's there for another year, I reckon, and that's it.
No, I doubt it. I mean, look, it's a good shout.
Don't be such a Canterbury one-eyed fan.
No, kicker is very, very important to us.
Red, you've got to be advocating for his release.
I got to be honest with you, Dibbo. It didn't allude to me that Kickout would leave in the next 5 years until you just mentioned it. But some of what you're saying is resonating, and if you get a big money deal, a big money deal would do it in about 2 to 3 years from now.
He's really on good money, but you guys, the boys that are on probably about 150, 200, you'd rather give them that extra 150 a season to retire. They could probably break through the reps than lose them to somewhere else, and they could be the thorn in your side.
I mean, who replaces Kickout? I don't think anyone realizes how much he does both in defense and attack for the Bulldogs.
You're not getting the point. He's replaceable.
No, I am. I know he's replaceable.
He's the only one that can produce for you. I can guarantee you this.
Of course not. I actually think that if Kickout goes, Preston moves to the left immediately, and we find the right side second row because Preston plays better on the left than he does on the right.
I'm not saying he leaves now. I'm saying he leaves at the end of next year when he's 31 going on to 32.
Look, maybe. But he'll get a premiership. I'm telling you. And you know,
you don't need him to get a premiership. He does his part. You're getting to where you want to be. You don't need him necessarily to win a premiership.
Do you remember in 2018 when the Roosters moved Mitchell Pearce on, right, to bring in Cooper Cronk?
It's a half.
Right? He had been there since he was a junior. They stuck by him through all his indiscretions. Then when the legends like Cooper Cronk came into the picture and they knew they could sign him because he wanted to leave Melbourne, what did they do? They moved heaven and earth to get Cooper Cronk to the team.
Yeah. You don't die wondering.
I know that comparing Galvin to Cronk may not sit well with everyone. But I actually think from an attacking perspective, Galvin could be the unlock for us to be able to score those points.
You don't want to sit there having regrets that we didn't sign him.
100%.
Die wondering. You know,
a lot of people say, "Oh, what if we leave? What if we lose the next 4 or 5?" Habibi, it's round 14 or 13. We've lost 2 games. I'm not sure why everybody thinks all of a sudden the doggies are going to shit themselves because we've signed a very good young player. Right? Let's be realistic here. We win the games off our defense, not off our attack, which is,
and that's the biggest problem. That's the biggest problem, Elmo. Mahoney and Sexton, they don't know how to ice. They don't know how to ice a game, unfortunately.
Well, I was about to say that's the double-edged sword, right? It's awesome that we win with our defense, right? But it's also a worry that we're not winning with our attack. And I think, as you said, that is sort of the issue that stands out in that you have to have the great defense, but you need the sublime attack to go with it. You imagine if we had the attack to match the defense, right? We would, as I said, we would be putting 50 on the Sharks, not 20. Right? They're the things I think make a big difference. And I have to go back and look, honestly, it's always it comes back to Sexton. It comes back to Sexton not being a threat. I don't know if it's because the coach hasn't given him confidence or whatever, but it just.
He's not clutch, He's not clutch.
At
the end of the day, he's not clutch.
No.
He's not going to kick the 40-20. He's not going to actually score the try when the momentum is down. He's not going to put the team on his back. You want a half that when you need to put the team on your back, like think of Nathan Cleary in the grand final versus Brisbane.
Oh my God!
He had to put the team on his back. You never imagine Sexton's going to put the team on his back.
He just can't.
No clutch. He doesn't have that, and Galvin has got that potential. So you have to take a gamble on someone like that.
100%. And look, it's rubbing people off the wrong way because Sexton's worked hard to get to where he is. Mahoney was here with us where they need to. But look, there's 2 points I want to make here, and I really want your opinions on this, right? So Zata is a good friend of mine, and we were having a bit of a chat about this. And one conclusion we came to is that
not always opinions are off. Anyway,
just quickly, David A. Fulda, man was re-signed for a year, so he'll be with us all of 2026.
Good.
So 2 points I want to make. Firstly, is that rugby league is a professional sport and tough decisions need to be made. Fans need to understand that management will make tough decisions, right? The Roosters did it with Cronk and Pearce, and then also you got to remember we're in such a good position that we can afford to make these decisions, right? If you remember 2020, Arpi signed with the Bulldogs up until the 11th hour. He went and signed with the Panthers because they were a better team and were in a better direction than the Bulldogs were. You guys remember that? I was devastated because he was such a good player. I had won a grand final, was killing it with Manly, right? And then he was coming to us apparently, and then went to the Panthers. We're in that position where we can take good players away from other teams because we're in that position. The second point I want to make is that I think this is a sign for all players to make as much money as they can. Nothing has made me happier or made me realize how happy I am for someone like Dylan Brown and his Knights deal than what's happened over the last few days in that Sexton's not going to be offered the deal and Mahoney's being told he can move on. The players need to look after themselves. It's a dog-eat-dog world. Excuse the pun. It really is. Rugby league is ruthless. The sport it's a big money sport and big decisions need to be made. Teams live and die on premierships. And if the club needs to make tough decisions based on them winning a premiership, I think the players should also have that mentality that they need to make tough decisions for them and their families. If that means making an extra couple $100,000 a year in salary by going to another club, effort, take it, do it. I think players need to have the same type of ruthless mentality. Make as much money as you can. Like people want to talk about loyalty. I think loyalty now, both from the club to the player and the player to the club, is more than the exception rather than the norm. That's the truth. And so I think, that's what's really been highlighted to me. I don't think the Dogs have acted incorrectly, but I also can't hold it against players if they were to come to the Dogs and say, we're going to get offered a lot more money, I'm leaving. We would hate it back then because we didn't have any replacements. But now it's like, well, okay, we're an opportunity club. You're getting a good offer. Allah Mark, there you go. Take care. Enjoy. And I think that, that's as an honest fan rather than just as a Bulldogs fan, that's the one thing I've realised is that it's a dog-eat-dog world. Tough decisions need to be made both by the clubs and by the players. Well, what are your thoughts on that, guys? Start with you, John.
You hit something which is a little bit in my niche when you said they're there for a short time. They need to make as much money as they can. Obviously, from a accounting perspective, I'm always looking at the short life in rugby league for players as clients, players I see, just generally speaking. You come in, you're making $700,000 a year. That's a really good player. Okay, after tax, you're looking at annual pay of 330 grand, and you're only going to be on that 700, 800 grand for 4 or 5 years. The first few years of your career, you'll be on 200-300. You might, if you're one of the top 10 in the sport, on the back 2 or 3 years, jag, a $1 million contract. There's about 10 players, 12, 15 players in that $1 million category. So it's so short-lived. I had a chat, Tim Manor on my podcast a while ago, talking about life after rugby league. Mate, the transition from being a rugby league player to life post rugby league is one of the most depressing things in the whole world, because you just come in as a school kid, make all this money. You got to pay the tax or whatever, but you're earning anywhere from $200,000 to $1 million a season, and then bang, in the blink of an eye, it's all gone, and you have to now find your way in the world as a 32-year-old, 31-year-old, 33-year-old with no experience in anything else. Yeah. So if you're saying to me, should the player do what's in their best interest? Yes. Should the club do what's in their best interest? Yes. Everyone should act ethically. Everyone should act morally. Everyone should be honest within reason and transparent as they can be. And I guess we will talk about Gus and transparency at some stage.
We're getting to that. I promise. I have a lot to say about Gus.
So you have to be careful about how you do it. And you have to be careful who you share what information with, man. But like, life is short. You got to put your family first. So yes, agreed with that.
Do you have thoughts on that?
It's what Defiant Update said in the chat. How dare Canterbury sign good players? I'll just leave it at that. How dare they? How dare they sign good players, honestly? Last thing you want is your club to sign some recycled player or some guy looking for the home stretch of his career, looking for a final pay packet, and just to hear your fans blowing up. So, honestly, I'm just looking at Canterbury fans. It's funny. He's got some on one side, they're over the moon, and then you got the others on the other side. Oh, he's disrupted the table, blah, blah, blah. And then obviously there's the fence sitters. And then there's people like me sitting in the top row at the cinemas and just watching it all unfold and think, what are they even complaining about? Like, I think it's a good go to go get this guy, whether it works out or not. At least you're not going to sit there die wondering. And wondering, thinking, what if we signed him? Or what if we signed him? And if we had him, we maybe would have got the title. Like, all these things.
I'm going to give a hot take.
3 years. Huh?
I'm going to give you a hot take. I think the Bulldogs
coming to the club. No, sorry, go on.
I think the Bulldogs are in a better position with Galvin to make the grand final of 2025 than they were without him. And I actually think that Galvin, by the end of the year, people are going to turn around and forget this whole saga, and they're going to be like, oh my God, this guy is amazing. That's my hot take. I don't think people give Ciraldo enough credit for how good of a people manager he is. I don't think people realize how much Ciraldo has a part in this, and I feel like Gus is taking all the bullets because that's his job. But you can't tell me that Ciraldo would accept such massive upheaval to his team without being fully in on it, fully bought in, and in fact pushing for it. I am so confident that not only is Galvin going to be good, Galvin is going to be great for the Bulldogs, and he's going to be great for us quite quickly. Given that if we have rushing defense, if we can play like the Bulldogs can play, I think we are going to absolutely kill it, and I think that he's going to be great for us. I do want to give a shout out to both Tigers fans and Eels fans, right? Firstly, to the Tigers fans, all of a sudden, they're happy that they've got rid of him. He's toxic, he's this, he's that. A few weeks ago, they were having a bit of a sook. Now,
their fans are the grubbiest fans in the whole game. I don't care what anyone says.
Guys, I got to jump in. Yeah, you go. I'm sorry.
No, go for us. Go.
Man, I was going to say on the chat, Mohammed Kabara said, best accountant, man. Love you, Mohammed Kabara. Thanks for the shout out, man. Appreciate you.
Oh, the Kabaras, what a crew.
Lot of love for John tonight.
I have a feeling I've got a connection with Mohamed Kabara, but that's a matter for another day. There's some collusion going on there.
And I think shout out to the Eels fans, because all of a sudden this relief has come out of nowhere. They were holding their breath for 6 weeks to sign Galvin, and now they're relieved that they haven't signed him. What an absolute load of shit. If there's any Eels out there that watch this, you guys are the worst, most salty fans. I'm a Doggies
King's
podcast.
Day matchup. Can you wait? I can't wait.
Oh, bro.
Bring the
If Galvin actually debuts for the Dogs on that day, it's going to be so big. But, again, both Tigers and Eels fans can eat it, even if he doesn't come to the Dogs. Even if he doesn't come to the Dogs. He was willing to take less money at the Dogs than he was at the Eels.
I didn't understand.
And that is enough for me. That is enough for me where we are, right? Because, they want to come for the Doggies. They want to come for Gus. They want to come for Ciraldo, whatever. The Eels can get stuffed. All of a sudden, they don't want him.
And do you know who else can get stuffed? Since we're telling people to get stuffed, I might jump on and say, get stuffed Newcastle. You paid $1.3 million for Dylan Brown. You dumb idiots. And we got Lachlan Galvin for $750, bro. That is the deal of the century.
I hope the Dragons towel them up on Friday, especially their coach's arrogance last week after the presser. Like you were playing... Man, they were playing, what's it called? Penrith
C team.
A dozen players.
Bro, they were playing Penrith C team. Let me tell you, the Knights are garbage. You got that. If they score more than a try on the Dragons, there's something wrong with the Dragons. I'm telling you.
I got classy players. It's just bad.
Bro.
Can I tell you something? Fletcher Sharp is better than Dylan Brown.
I agree. I agree with you. And I think that they signed the wrong player. They didn't need a Dylan Brown. I actually don't have anything against Dylan Brown. And you know what?
I reckon Ponga needs to leave.
Look, no, they don't. They need a new coach. That coach has torn the team apart. He got rid of Saifidi. Hang on, he got rid of the Braden. He's getting rid of Kai Peace-Paul. He wants to get rid of some other players. He refuses to pick Jackson Hastings. The guy's got no idea what he's doing. Anyway, Eels and Tigers fans can get stuffed, and I hope the Dragons put 50 on the Knights. 66 on the Knights, actually. Just put it out there.
That scoreline still haunts you, doesn't it?
Bro, it's going to haunt me for a very long time. Just quickly, while I have everyone here, we've got 72 people in the chat. If I can just get you guys to give a quick thumbs up to the video, please. It really helps us in the algorithm. Just give us a thumbs up. If you're lurking in the background and you're not having a chat with us, please subscribe to us. Share this. We're going to be live still for another at least an hour. So if you do know some fans, some Eels fans, or some Tigers fans that want to come in and argue with us, please invite them. Share this wide as possible. And let's get the chat pumping more and more. I love everybody that's here. Quick shout out, Moot FM, Eddie Abs, Jordan, David A. Fulda, Mookie's back, Mohamed Kabara, Scott Wood, everyone. We love you guys. Thanks, guys, for being in the chat. Now, the question that John Sard asked right back in the beginning before we got here, what does my team look like? What does the Dogs team look like with
I'm
Galvin?
trying to hear this. Please tell me. You got to stick to your guns.
So I think in the first instance, I think Galvin comes off the bench. There won't be much of a change to the top 13.
Kings B Day.
This is for the Eels game.
Right.
I'm not going to accept that. I want your vision. I know, obviously, it's most likely.
He wants your medium term.
Like, what's the plan for the 1 through 13 with Galvin in it?
I think the only change is that Sexton's gone. I think Lachlan Galvin will be at 7. I think Haywood will be at 9. Burton will stay 6. I saw the stupid comments about Burton going to fullback. What is it with you people and Burton? What is it with you people and Burton? I don't understand.
Hey, it's your fans. Your fans.
Bro, what the... It doesn't make any sense. Bro, Burton is a 6. Burton is not going to be replaced by anyone. Burton is a 6. Right? Shout out to Norm Eater. You know, I love you, Norm. I'm sorry. There's just a lot of people I'm running through. Knox, shout out to you. Yusuf, shout out to you. Jamie, we love you. But, just this whole bullshit. Some idiot comes out there and he says, I've heard whispers that Burton's going to go to fullback. No, you didn't. No, you didn't, Yahmar. He's never going to fullback.
He just got trolled and believed it. Oh, man.
Bro.
Look, if anything, you could see him playing centre. He has played centre. He can play centre, but fullback is left.
Remember that? Oh,
yeah. Bro, he'll kill it at centre.
Who's going to play halfback?
He's not going. He's not leaving 6. He's 6.
Who's playing halfback then? Who's going to play
Galvin.
halfback?
Galvin,
a halfback.
in the short to medium term, Galvin's going to be 7, Burton's going to be 6. As soon as Mitchell Woods is ready, Mitchell Woods is going to come into the 7. Oh, bro, trust me.
I think Burton will have to play 7.
Look, even if Burton does play 7,
he's your more experienced player.
Okay, let's say Burton plays 7. I think it doesn't change what number they've got on their back. Galvin will play right, Kikau will play left. And then that way we have attacking weapons. All right, yep. we have attacking weapons on both edges. Then you've got Man at lock, you've got Haywood at 9, and all of a sudden the attack is now humming. You've got danger out of dummy half, you've got danger at lock, you've got danger at 7, and danger at 6. And then you've got the forward pack, the defense. You've got Tracy at fullback. A lot of these questions keep coming up. Burton this, Burton that. Nah, Habibi, what is it with you and Burton? Leave him alone. Let the bloke. He's a good. He should have been 5'8" of the year last year. Dearden did not deserve it. Dearden is. I don't understand. They've chosen him on the bench for Queensland. What the fuck is he going to do on the bench for Queensland? The Burton is one of the better 5'8" in the competition, whether you like it or not. He's a great 5'8", and I will die on this hill. So let's get over the Burton talk. What Ciraldo decides to do is up to him. But he doesn't spend 3 years developing a 5'8" with a running game, with defense, with kicking, with everything, and say, oops, sorry, go back to centre. Let's talk logic here for a second, right? If there are changes, if you remember, Critter was signed apparently as a fullback. If anything, I could see Critter going to fullback. Right, I could see Critter going to fullback. Tracy leaves. Kiraz moves to centre, which is his preference. And then you have a winger come in, whether it's Wilson, whether it's Tracy going to the wing, whoever. Or Burton, all these things about, Burton moving. Anyway, I've had my rant. I'm over. Burton is a 6.
I would 100% agree with you that Burton's proved himself as a 6. Early on with some question marks, but definitely now he's proved himself. He's a game breaker. He runs in against the grain. He scores tries. He connects up with Kikau on the left brilliantly. However they use Galvin, I think it's going to bolster. I mean, Galvin plays both sides of the ruck, but it should bolster the right side attack. Our right side attack is where we've been lacking. We're largely a left side attack team. Unless Critter does something crazy when he gets the ball in his hands on the right, we generally gear all our attack towards the left. Galvin gives you the option on the right. I don't care if for the rest of the season they throw out Sexton in the team, keep him in there, throw out Galvin and Sexton, let Galvin as a second row or as a lock run rampant on the right edge or on the right side of the field. As an interim solution, I don't think that's the long-term plan. Yeah. And I think it might just create Burton kicks on the left. On the right, you got Galvin doing his thing. And then now we're potent both sides, and now we're threatening in attack, and we can turn our field position into points, and we can actually shock teams and do something clutch. So I think Galvin in. I think the overall picture, and it's pretty clear from what's coming out in the media, in the big term, is Galvin in, Sexton out. And from all reports and everyone's opinion, what I'm hearing is Galvin to 7. And when I heard Joey Johns say that would work, who would know better than Joey Johns if that would work? And he likened it to Melbourne have, you could say, almost 2 5'8" in their halves. So Jerome Hughes is more of a running half, and Galvin could be that sort of running half that Jerome Hughes started his career as. Jerome Hughes was a fullback, I think, at some point.
Yeah, that's right. He started as a fullback.
Jerome Hughes.
I think he was behind Scott Drinkwater at North Queensland or somewhere, and then he went to Melbourne because he couldn't get in front of Drinky.
That's right. Yep. And look at him now. But I mean, in any case, I'm not saying that, I don't think, I know that you're not making the comparison that, Ciraldo is Bellamy and, that Galvin is Hughes. But the idea is that attacks don't need to be, things don't have to be black and white. The 7 doesn't have to be binary 7 and the 6 doesn't have to be binary 6. And again, the key man dependencies aren't in our halves, which is, again, very important to keep in mind what kind of team we actually have and what kind of game we play, right? And if you look at, again, we go back to the idea of having Mahoney there. I think Mahoney's service at a dummy half this year hasn't been as good as Haywood's. Again, we'll go back and be really, really honest, is that we're probably missing a trick there. Now, I told you that I think he'll be 7. right? I think he'll play 7 or 6. He'll be there alongside Burden. I think Haywood, at least in the short term, they won't drop Mahoney. Haywood will be lock. Now, I don't know who's on the bench. I don't know if we're going to have, we're going to have both Mann and Galvin on the bench. I don't know what that makeup's going to be. I'll be very interested to see what Ciraldo does, or if he in fact does drop someone. Because I know Riccio reported apparently that Sexton was due to be dropped from number 7 even before we signed Galvin.
Ooh, what?
And they were going to put Haywood there.
Really?
Yeah.
I think he's playing that bad.
Apparently, that's what. Look, the thing is, a lot of these journos are now trying to get themselves in the limelight because obviously this is the big story and it's probably the biggest we've had in rugby league for a while. And so they want to make bullshit up and say, oh, we know this and we know that. So I'm not sure how real that is. But it's clear. I think it's very clear that the Dogs aren't happy with Sexton. Because otherwise, they would have at least given him the confidence to say, hey, we're talking to his manager. They refused to even talk to his manager. So I think, that's what I think is happening. God knows. John, are you also of the opinion that, like you said, I think he'll start off the bench against the Eels. I think for the first couple of weeks, he'll be eased in off the bench. But as a neutral, as someone who supports a shit team, how do you think the Bulldogs team will look like with Galvin there?
Yeah, honestly, I'm
sorry. I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry. It just happened.
It feels bad.
I don't know how it's going to work out. I'm just curious to see, I don't know, how's he going to use him? Where's he going to play him? That's the thing. He's probably just better off either just sitting out Sexton completely and just throwing him in there, rather than use him off the bench. To be honest, he's not a bench player.
Yeah,
you've signed him now. Sexton's surplus of requirements. Throw him in the deep end. Let's see. We made that signing. Let's go. Let's not fidget around him. That's how I would be doing it. I wouldn't be fidgeting around. I might play him off the bench for the first game, but after I ain't fidgeting him around. I am throwing him straight in. He's my marquee signing.
I think while
these boys are all professionals.
We're low in the ranks of people right now, Dibbo. So we've got injuries, suspensions, origin period. I wouldn't be surprised if they try squeeze Sexton and Galvin into the team just to get through this rough patch. Two experienced players.
How low on players are you? Do you have any long-term injuries? I think Jack Todd's your longest.
Salmon is pretty long-term.
That's all right. He's replaceable. Who else?
Sam Hughes came back, which is good. I think Preston's coming back.
Right. Yeah, that's right. I think
Satili Tupanua should be back.
That's right. They're all on board in the next few weeks. He's actually in a better position than anyone realises. They're all back in the next few weeks. Not high.
And everyone says, we're fading and with this and that. Come on, let's be honest. Our players have had a lot of time off. We've had, Stili Tupanua suspended, Preston suspended, Curran suspended, Sam Hughes been off. People don't realise that actually as we come into the second half of the season, we're going to be quite fresh.
Don't forget, we lost Burden and Kickout for 4 weeks, 5 weeks each.
That's right. So for us to be 9-2 and for John to be so close to getting his predictions right.
I predicted it would be 9-1. I said 9-1, but I said we actually beat the Roosters. I said we'd beat Brisbane. We didn't beat Brisbane, but I said we'd lose to the Roosters. We beat the Roosters. So we ended up at
run. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's where it ended in round 8. So I got the 9-1 as just the wrong team. And when I said it, when I came out of my mouth, I knew I was blow-assing when I said we'd do to them, Brisbane, what we did to them last year, because I knew that would be a bogey game. But it doesn't sound good to say we win 7 rounds. I said I won't say we win 10, so it is what it is.
I mean, you were so bloody close. You were so bloody close.
I'm so happy to be where we're at.
Bro, if you told me at the beginning of the year we were going to be 9-2 coming into round 13, a bye, and we are just about to sign one of the best young halves in the competition for less money than what he was offered by both the Tigers and the Eels, I will tell you to shut up and walk away. Because there's no way anyone could have pictured this in their wildest dreams. In their wildest dreams, this would not have happened.
Man, I'm so happy to be witnessing this. It's one of the most historic starts we've had. Like, we've probably had a start like this 3 or 4 times in our whole history, and probably the last time was '94. I was still very young.
That's right. Yeah.
You know,
I was 5 years old, so
I was so thankful to just see that start to the season. It's given us so much hope, and now with all that happening, signing Galvin to come in for the second half, it just renews everyone. We've got all the boys in the Origin camps getting motivated, whether it's Blues or Maroons. They'll come back reinvigorated. If we can get Critter's injury right, get everything back together, we are going to be certainties for the minor premiership, at least the minor premiership, and then we can see where we go from there.
I actually think the minor premiership is ours to lose. I don't think that the Warriors will be able to keep up with what they're doing. They're going great. They'll be top 4, I reckon, but I don't know if they're going to be able to keep up with what they're doing. I think the Raiders are doing very well. I reckon them and Storm are the only real threats, but I feel like we're that far ahead. I actually think that the minor premiership is ours to lose. That's how confident I am of this team. And now that Galvin's there, bro, can you just imagine just one good left side play with, Preston, Critter, Kiraz? It's just like, bro, it's so exciting. It's one of those things where I can't believe it. But I want to ask something. Do you guys think that Galvin has an attitude problem? And will Isaac Moses be a problem for the Dogs?
Bullshit. Who's coming out of these rumours? He's got a...
No, I'm asking you the question. I'm not saying he is a problem. I'm asking
definitely
the question.
Not. He's the fittest player as a teenager, and he was already the fittest player at the Tigers. He was training the house down in the preseason. He's selfless. Just because he's negotiating his contract, of course, clubs are going to make him the villain, him and his manager. He does not have an attitude problem. He chose Canterbury Bulldogs. He liked what he saw. Obviously, there was other higher offers out there. He wants to go places. He's going to come in. He loves what he sees. He's going to be in the right environment, and he's going to be another important piece in the puzzle. So I think he's going to expect the world from him. He's going to obviously go out there and do what he does best. They're just going to feed him a lot of the ball. Anyways.
Look, you mentioned Isaac Moses. Look, I had the privilege of meeting, or some would say privilege of meeting Isaac Moses a couple of occasions. And on one occasion, did some work for him. And mate, just the brief interactions I had, I got the impression he was a pure businessman. So very sleek, very much, thank you very much, polite, has got the gift of the gab, knows how to win people over, smooth operator. And then when he leaves, he will say something to you. If there's absolutely anything you need, John, make sure you've got my number, let me know. So he's this type of guy. He's a wheeler and dealer. That does not, I don't want to say that makes him good or bad, but definitely the players in and around him. I mean, you're not going to tarnish. Let's say he's bad for the game, and they tried to rub him out of the game for 2 years. Doesn't mean every player in his ranks is going to have a bad attitude or going to be a negative player. Yeah. Like, this guy's got 100 NRL players in his ranks. Yeah. He's got 5 NRL coaches. 5, I'm pretty sure maybe 5. I know he's got Seabold, he's got Payton, he's got Webster, he's got who are the others he's got? I think he's got O'Brien at Knights. He's got Flanagan. So he's got media personalities. He's got Danica Mason. He's got Cameron Smith. So this guy's a power player, right?
Wait,
so
he's got Flanagan. Yeah. Which Flanagan?
Your Flano, I think.
The coach or the son?
I think it's a coach or both. Is it most likely both? Yeah.
Why do we always get the wrong end of the deal? Get us the good players. It gets me the son, and then comes with the father who feeds News Corp everything. Yeah. And gets stuff.
Yeah. And look, Zlatan has made a good point, and I 100% agree with this. He says, firstly, Galvin didn't like the Tigers, and he didn't want to extend last year, but he was gaslighted because the Tigers and Richo went to his parents and almost. Yeah, and he was essentially sort of told by his friends, you've got to resign. That's the first thing. The second thing is, and Zlatan made this point, is that if it was just his manager making the calls, he would have gone to the Eels for more money or stayed at the Tigers for more money. But Galvin has said, no, I want development, I want good club, I want premierships. And so he's chosen a team or the team that's paying him the least out of the 3 available options. Yeah. So for me, I know I'm asking if he has an attitude problem, but if anything, for me, it's showing maturity for a 19-year-old that maybe other clubs or other 19-year-olds probably wouldn't have. which is, a positive sign for the Dogs. And again, if he's got that attitude where he wants to learn and he wants to grow, this is what Ciraldo, or this is who Ciraldo works the best with. If you look at all the juniors that Ciraldo's brought through, Preston, Haywood, Todd, Hayes, Kiraz, Lipoi Hopoi. I'm sure.
What a great game! What a great player Hopoi is becoming. I'm a really big fan.
He's fantastic. How do you drop him? How do you drop him to New South Wales Cup when everybody comes back? This guy deserves a first grade spot. He's earned it now. And then you think to yourself, this is all, off the back of Ciraldo's coaching and people management. You have to give him credit for that. And so when you look at what he's been able to achieve, and then you bring someone in like Galvin, who not only has the work ethic, but has the talent to go with the work ethic, you think, oh my God, how far can this guy actually go under Ciraldo? And that's what makes you excited. And that's why you think, you know what? The Tigers, they're known to have these problems. I think this is the best move for both him and the Tigers. I want the Tigers to move on. Latu Fainu is going to make a great 7 for them. I hope they just move on. That's genuinely what I feel.
Can I say, Dibbo, I don't think he's got a bad attitude, and this is my proof. He went to Westfield Sports with Luke Vella as his coach or mentor there, and Luke Vella's in our coaching staff now. Now, can you imagine, after everything we've built at Canterbury in Belmore, someone in the coaching staff accepting a bad attitude or person who's got low virtue to come in and spoil that? 100% Luke Vella knows him, knows his character, knows his intention, his family, and that he's going to come work hard and fit in with what we're building. Otherwise, he wouldn't he would have to stake his reputation on that fact when Ciraldo comes and taps him on the shoulder and says, hey, mate, you coach this guy in high school, you deal with him, you mentor him. What's the go? And 100% Luke Vella would say this guy will come in and it'll be next man up mentality. And at Belmore, it's club first, team second, player third. So if that's not exactly what's going to happen, I'll be very shocked.
I 100% agree. And look, again, like, a lot of people probably underestimated how important Luke Vella is to all of this. And, everyone talks about how good Luke Vella's been, for the development of Galvin. And can you imagine, like, if you get to play your dream of rugby, first grade rugby league under the guy that you had, there with you at your Westfield Sports? I think it's just such a perfect scenario and a recipe. It's a good recipe. And it's a great point that you're making. Now, I guess then my next question is, are we more of a premiership threat with him than without him? I think that's what it all comes down to for 2025, because it's no good burning the ship and then rebuilding in 2026 when we're coming first. And so I wanted to sort of touch on that a little bit. I promise, I know it's been all about Lachlan Galvin and the club, but I think it's been a great chat. I'm really enjoying this. So, I just want to ask, and then we're going to get into the Gus Gould
I'll give you my 5 cents on that one, Elmo. So just so you know, the super coach average for Lachlan Galvin is 59. For Sexton, 46. Reid Mahoney, 48. So I don't know if we've got any super coach fans out there. But obviously, when it comes to averages, mate, he's definitely up there. So I think just on my super coach stats, he would definitely be more likely to help us win a premiership.
Oh, at least you highlighted he was super coach. Thank God you highlighted that. But, don't ever cross over super coach in reality, anyways.
No, mate. A good super coach player is not necessarily a good player. I've noticed that with Critter. Critter's a shit super coach player, but a great rule.
But he's done on the field. Terrell May scores you, I think, 100 plus points, but that's because he's second and third man in, and it's a fair point.
Yeah,
it's a fair point they made. If you watch the games, he does rack up a lot of points. Good on him for getting in there, but it's just don't ever cross it over to reality.
No, it's not reality. But look, at the end of the day, if you can't look at him and say this guy is the type of material that has got Clive Churchill medalist or whatever written all over him, a type future Daily M player, like that's the raps on this guy. And Gus wouldn't have come out, and I know we'll get to Gus, but early on and given him such big raps, if there wasn't mate, it's chalk and cheese. I'm sorry, Toby Sexton, great. He's done so well to get his ass out of reserve grade and get into the number 7 of a team to get him to first. And he can always wear that with pride, but mate, chalk and cheese. This guy's 6'3", 19 years old, got every weapon in the game. As soon as he develops under the Canterbury system to his full potential, man, who knows if we look back at him the way we look back at Terry Lamb, the way we look back at
Wow.
those
Big
types of
pressure
players.
there.
Well, who came across young from West to the Bulldogs in the 80s? It was a young Terry Lamb after a couple of seasons at West. It was the Western Suburbs Magpies, and he came across, mate. And we remember him not as a West player, as the Bulldogs player he became. He was a part of 4 premierships, and hopefully, we're hoping that this is the replication of that story, 40 years later.
Nope, I'm with you, and I think like a lot of it is on potential. But I feel like, honestly, the last 6 weeks, 7 weeks at the Tigers since this whole stuff's come out, I don't think Galvin has even played at 50%. He just hasn't played at his best. I think, again, this is the best move for all involved.
Brian Dibb's having a dig, Elmo, saying, what weapons does Galvin have? Can you elaborate on, from your perspective, what weapons does he have?
Passing game.
Thanks, Brian.
Running game. Kicking game. Short kicking game. An offload. He's got the speed. He's got the footy IQ, right? I can keep going. I can really keep going for a while, right? But there's absolutely no denying that Galvin is a special talent. You ask most pundits, most people that have played the game, they'll tell you this kid is a generational talent, right? Last year, I used to look at this kid and say, oh my God, how did the Tigers unearth this guy? And I actually gave a lot of credit to Benji for realizing so early on that this kid is something special, and this kid deserves his shot at such a young age. And I want to give a quick shout out to Live in Life. Thank you so much for your super sticker. Really appreciate it. Thank you. You've joined. You've become a member. Bro, thank you so much. It means, honestly, it means so much. Like today, I saw a guy. They just came up to me. He's like, "Hey, you the dude that does the Bulldogs podcast?" I was like, "Yeah." And he just wanted to have a chat about the dogs. And bro, I loved it. I didn't want to stop talking to the dude, but the dude was with his wife. He was having lunch. I was having lunch as well with a mate. And we were just chatting for like half an hour. We would go back, come back. We were just having a mad chat. It was
I need to
just
work
amazing.
whatever you're doing. To be having lunches in the middle of the day with a mate, I need to change my job. Wow.
Bro, when you do 14-hour days, you can be flexible with your time. That's the way I look at it.
I need to change
when you start
my job.
work at 7 in the morning,
hopefully my boss isn't watching.
6:37 at night, you can take half an hour in the afternoon to go for lunch. Good night, Live in Life. Thank you so much. I hope to see you same time next week at this time. Chopper, look, I'm sorry, we do get fans on all the time, but
we will get you on. We'll get you on the next one. We just pre-planned these, so we'll reach out to you and get you on the next one, Chopper. We'll give you a nice slot like what Jamie did, and we're always interested to hear the fans' input. And I'm sure you got a really good input coming in. I don't know how I can get him on now, but yeah, not today's episode.
Want to talk very quickly about Gus Gould in the media, right? I have thoughts on this. I have some strong thoughts on this. And I don't think all Bulldogs fans are going to agree with me about this. A lot of even Dogs fans are upset with the way Gus Gould has carried himself. And so I want to start sort of right at the beginning where Gus Gould was apparently courting Lachlan Galvin. And mind you, let's not forget, he made these comments about Lachlan Galvin way on in the preseason, before the season had even started, I think. But it was a very long time ago, before this latest disgruntlement came out from Lachlan Galvin's team camp. And so, for people to say he's publicly courting Lachlan Galvin, and he's a media personality, and he shouldn't be doing this, he shouldn't be doing that. Look. He could not work with Channel 9. He could not work with any official media. But if Gus Gould came out on YouTube tomorrow and had the Gus Gould podcast, independent of anyone else, independent of any media organization, he would get 30, 40,000 views a week, easily, 50,000, 100,000 views, right? If he was unfiltered, that's the first thing. The second thing is, he could publicly court him. He could come onto the Kennel Podcast and publicly court Lachlan Galvin. The thing is, Gus Gould has been in rugby league for 50 years. 50 years. You can't control that. You can't control the influence that he has. You can't control the opinions that he's going to have. If he thinks that Galvin is fantastic, he's going to say it. People want to hear his opinions. He said other dumb things. Does that mean he's trying to dissuade people from coming to the Dogs? If he said this player is not playing as well as he should, or this player isn't as good as he should be, or whatever, like a lot of these stupid journalists are really upset that they weren't able to break the news. A lot of these journalists are really upset that Gus Gould pulled everybody's pants down and got the man. That's why these journalists are having a go at Gus Gould, because Gus Gould doesn't care. Gus Gould doesn't react. Gus Gould does what Gus Gould needs to do. Gus Gould thinks that Cleary is going to be an immortal. Does that mean we're going to sign Cleary next year?
Hopefully.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, right? Like News Corp has been like all over Gus this whole time, making up stories, picking out little issues, and so like, did Gus lie? Probably.
I'm going to say Gus didn't lie. No way. I have to disagree, because I want to back you even harder, Elmo, to say this. He was not aware at the time when the initial comments came out where he said we're not interested, that Galvin was up for grabs this year. Okay. Now, when that changed, and this is his line, and this is what he's standing by, he's saying when that conversation and the context matters, when the context changed around Galvin, then our decision to pursue him changed. Okay. And words have meanings, and there's such a thing as nuance, and there's such a thing as context. Okay. If you come out and say, we are not interested, he's not part of our plans, in one context, but then you get a call from Isaac Moses that says, hey, things have changed, they're releasing him immediate. Well, then you need to reassess the context. And if you're a good administrator, you got to act fast and move fast. Good CEOs, 100%. Good administrators move fast. When the facts change, the context changed, guess what? Our appetite has changed, because you know what else has changed? Our view on 2025. We are now sitting at number one. Our window, which is always short in rugby league, which ends somewhere in like 27, 28, has just been brought forward to 2025. I would not expect him, the man who's been in the sport, like you said so well, Elmo, for 50 years, to do what's in the best interest of his team, which is employed by, say the facts without breaching confidentiality, because there's such a thing as confidentiality.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Without lying. And he's a man of integrity to the point where he said the things he said in such a way as to not make himself a liar. You think he's going to come out and say outright lies? No, he'll say something. He'll conceal confidential facts. He'll say something as we're not interested in him. And that would mean the context is right now. That changed. Guess what? Well, something changed. We need to reassess the situation. Michael Shamus got schooled by him on the podcast last night when he came out at him and he said, you misled everyone to Gus. And you know what Gus said to him? He said, I misled no one. I misled no one. Mind your words, son. He put him back in his place. He told him to sit back down. All right. And mind your words, son, because don't forget who you're talking to. I misled no one. I know exactly what I said. Don't embarrass yourself. Shut your mouth. Sit back down. Thank you very much.
Can I push back on that one thing, right?
Yep.
When I say Gus lied, I don't say that Gus directly lied. What I'm saying is that Gus didn't reveal the whole truth. And you probably put it better than I did, right? Gus said what he was able to in that situation. But you can't tell me that Gus didn't see it from a mile away that this was coming. He did. We did, and therefore he did. A guy that's been there for 50 years would be able to tell it better than we can, right?
Yeah.
So he knew what was happening, and he knew.
But if he wanted to court him, Elmo, if he wanted to court him, he would then come out and say, oh, you know what? Publicly in the media, if he became available this year, we would consider him. But he didn't do that because that would be undue. That would be using your position in a way to coerce, and that's not the right thing. He has walked the line between media and administrator so well for so long that I stand behind his decisions. I think he is someone who does it better than most. A lot of them like to operate in the shadows, bro. Politis runs Roosters. He doesn't come out and say much publicly. There's a lot of people that run clubs. They don't say a word in the media. Who has been able to speak in the media whilst simultaneously running a club the way Gus Gould has? And I have a lot of admiration for him.
But we've glazed Gus Gould on this podcast since day one, and I'll continue to glaze Gus on this podcast until day million. Because I'll tell you something.
I've glazed Gus since day one.
You're right. We both.
You know how much I love him.
We love, and look, to be honest, there is there isn't an easier way to do this. But what was very clear is that Gus put the Dogs first. Gus has taken all the heat. Ciraldo hasn't taken the heat. In fact, even Lachlan Galvin coming to the Dogs, he's not taking as much heat. The club isn't taking the heat. It's all about Gus. And you know what? That protects the club and that protects the young player that's coming to our team. And so, a lot, Buzz Rothfield brings up, he's brought up these receipts about, apparently he said, Trent Barrett is going to be here for a long time. Then they booted Barrett. And then apparently he said something about, him signing Hook at Panthers, and then he got rid of him. And then something about Moylan. And you know what's interesting is that Buzz always seems well-spoken and well-prepared when it comes to Gus, but on everything else, he's a decrepit old fool. Like, honestly, it's just, it's clear. It's clear that this feud that goes back to the 80s between Gus and Buzz is always brought out when it's convenient to cause drama.
It's envy.
When it's envy. And again, Gus Gould pulled everybody's pants down. He literally said to all these journos, I do whatever the F I want for my team, and none of you are ever going to be able to beat me to the punch with a scoop because I know what I'm doing and I've done it for 50 years, more than anyone else almost. And honestly, the journos are burning. And look, Michael Shamus, honestly, I've got to say, respect to Michael Shamus for trying to get the truth out of Gus, or for trying to have that tough conversation with Gus. And Channel 9 would have said, go out there and cause drama. Go out there and build the tension. It was good viewing.
Yeah. I got nothing against Michael Shamus, but it was so good to see an elder statesman of rugby league and journalism and media. Putting it, I love him. He's great, but just to tell him, hey man, be careful when you say I'm misleading. That's an accusation on my character.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
All right, and take it easy because he put him back in his place very well. I enjoyed it,
and I loved it. Yeah, both of them were great. Both of them, I thought Michael Shamus did well to be in that position. A much younger dude with much less experience to actually ask Gus the tough questions. But Gus, in his eloquent experience, put him back in his place. And I was all for it. I thought it was great TV. I thought it was very dramatic, and it really amped up the tension. So I was really happy with that. We're getting David wants me to move on. I will. Do you?
Go, David. Go.
Does Gus have an unfair advantage? Sort of what I want to ask. Quick question: does Gus have an unfair advantage? I want to say. Yes, but then again, if you've been a plumber for 50 years and you charge $500,000 for a job that takes you a week because you've built up the experience for 50 years, you also have an advantage. It is what it is. That is part and parcel of being having or plying a trade for 50 years. That's what I think. I think that it's natural that you're going to have a bit of an advantage with the influence and power that you've got, given how long you've been in the sport. What are your thoughts?
You go first, Johnny.
Look, Marcus says to me, John, stick to accounting, bro. This is Gus. Hey, listen to me, please. I'm telling you, Gus is, yes, I'm sure he's got his ways and whatever, but there's something about Gus. Gus's influence is huge. Gus was in the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs pack in the 80s, man. He's Bulldogs through and through, way back when. And back then, Bullfrog ran the show, Peter Moore. And Gus wished he could be the top dog doing what he's doing now. So I feel like this is the cherry on top of Gus's career. He's gone full circle. He's done things. He's conquered the world. He did the Origin Arena, the Roosters, the Panthers, Warriors, all that. But for him, on the inside, he always had to come back to the Bulldogs to finish a job that he never got to finish back then. And for him, it's by hook or by crook, he's going to win a premiership for the Bulldogs. That's my view on where it's going to go.
And it's going to come a lot quicker than it. Yeah. It's going to come a lot quicker than everybody thought. Sorry, go ahead, Dibbo.
Do you remember, Elmo? We did that piece on the podcast a couple of years ago on Gus Gould, where I said he's the most decorated person in rugby league at the moment. He's a former player, and he's played in grand finals. He would have played in a premiership winning team in '85 if injury didn't crawl him. Even in '84, he won a coach. So he won a premiership as a coach at two different clubs. So he won premiership, and then he went to the Roosters. He built the Roosters up. The Roosters, since Gould's arrival at the end of '94, the the Roosters have now enjoyed over 3 decades of success from his signature. That was the catalyst. They got Fittler from there. They managed to then build their team around Fittler, and they've never looked back since. After that, I mean, during that whole time, he also coached New South Wales to series wins. He's New South Wales' most successful coach ever. And then on top of that, then he moved into media. Whilst he was coaching, he was already in media. So he'd coach and also do pieces with Channel 9 and commentate and whatnot. At the same time, he was also working with the ARL board to basically, during the Super League war, to help get players on board and obviously, side with ARL and try to work out something with Super League, which they did in the end. And
that was his only mistake, Dib.
I like this Super League concept. The more I look back on it, the more I like the Super League concept, if anything. Like they really want to get the game moving places and make it more just something that was, because it was starting to get boring. We needed something to sparkle things up. And Super League did some things that I really liked, and I was old enough to remember. Anyway, then on to that, he's then got into, whilst he was in media, he's got into club administration. Look what he did with Penrith. He revitalised Penrith, and look at Penrith now. They're the pride of the league. I hope you're watching, South fans, so I hope you get jealous. So Penrith's now the pride of the league. From there, he left, or obviously whilst that was happening, he left. He's gone to went back to his media duties. St. George reached. It's funny. St. George got him to come and do a free piece, a review on someone that's his mate, a.k.a. Paul McGregor, and then didn't offer him a role. That was insane. The guy lives down the road from St. George's Leagues Club. If you follow the Princess Highway, you'll get to Oyster Bay. The guy lives literally down the road from St. George's Leagues Club, a 5 to 10 minute drive. He would have loved to come there every day. He grew up following the club, and they didn't even offer him anything. Just show you what a shambles that club is. It's just all jobs for mates, Anyway, I don't want to go into that. Here he's at Canterbury, and then Canterbury had seen probably, when by the time Gus arrived, about maybe 6-7 years of shit. I wouldn't even say mediocrity, worse than mediocrity. Just shit. I've never seen Canterbury like that in my life. I'm a rival fan. I was used to Canterbury being literally fighting for the title every year. And if they had one bad season, the next year they'd rebound or they'd be back to the top again. And then they'd probably have one bad season every 6 or 7 years. So, and then look at him. He's basically now just butting everyone else out of the way. He butted people out of either get Kick-Out's signature, he butted people out of either get Cruder's signature, he butted people out of either get Lachlan Galvin's signature. Canterbury's now being linked to everyone. And it's not just for players to bump up their price. They actually want to come to the club. And on top of that, people forget what he's done to the pathways. He raided, obviously, a lot of big junior bases around Sydney, not just around Sydney, around Australia. So he went and poached a lot of the Illawarra good juniors as well, and he brought them to Canterbury. Look at Canterbury from Matthews and up for the last 3-4 years. Look at the success they've been having. From Matthews to SG Board to Jersey Fleet. These guys are all now graduating to reserve grade and on to first grade. He's done it all. Name me someone that's been in club administration at the top, to coaching at the top, to playing at the top, to obviously a kingpin in the media. Name me someone in the history of rugby league that's done that. Anyone? Maybe the closest you get is probably Bob Fulton, but he never worked in media.
He did a bit on the 2GB.
He wasn't really high up in club administration. Yes, he had an influence, but that's about it.
That's actually a very good comparison, man. You pulled that Bob Fulton. I didn't think you'd get anywhere near. That was top.
Bozo had such crazy influence at Manly. Like, honestly, he didn't have to go
everywhere, all over rugby league.
Insane. Ken Arthurson was maybe another one. They didn't really have a media. He ran the ARL. He was a former player, former coach. He had a bit of a role in media. Ken Arthurson, still alive. I think he's about 97, 98 now, the old ARL chief executive. I think he's the oldest surviving rugby league player as well. Anyway,
and look, I want to quickly point out, Moot FM gave us a super chat just a little bit ago. I'm so sorry I missed this one. We've been.
Hey, where was my shout out?
Gus has made us feared and hated, as it should be for our great club, by the way. I agree. We're now feared, we're hated, and you know what? When we've got the stage mentality, that's when the Bulldogs operate well. And look, Debo, I completely agree with you. I think everything that you've said makes a lot of sense. And look, Gus Gould is the GOAT, as with your super chat, as you've said. Can
I just make another comparison? If you've probably heard this before, I hope Shane Flanagan's watching. So you can beat Shane Flanagan, who, when he got sacked, or the NRL told Cronulla you have to sack your coach for obviously infringements, a lot of infringements if you want to go into it. So he was working at Fox Sports, who are owned by News Corps. We all know who News Corps are, or the Daily Shitty Graph, because he was writing pieces for them as well. So anyway, this guy, I kid you not, and I'm a fan, I've been raging it since the start of last year, was literally telling the Daily Shitty Graph his every single move. We're going to train the players this way. I'm going to sign these guys. This is the positions I want. This is how we're going to play our style of footy. So every time he said he went to go for this player, he wouldn't end up signing him. Some journalists would go leak it. Flanagan's going to go sign. Like, for example, Tom Hazelton. Elmer, you remember Tom Hazelton? Yeah. That was literally a done deal. But lo and behold, St. George Hater or Cronulla fuckwit dickhead Dave Riccio did everything he could scupper the deal. In the end, at the 11th hour, Cronulla came in and lo and behold, a much-needed front row that St. George needed stayed at Cronulla in the stack side. You know, the deal wasn't done, but David Riccio got winged because Shane Flanagan couldn't shut his bloody mouth. That was one. There was a few things. That wasn't the only signing. There was a few others. Couldn't shut his mouth. He had to just keep feeding Buzz and his little, what do you want to call them? Minions at the daily, at the Daily Shitty Graph. His every move. And who did he sign? Like he got lucky with Valentine Holmes because Cowboys needed to free up their cap. Honestly, Damien Cook was looking for a retirement package. But that's what
about Gutho?
Gutho also got squeezed out as well. He got lucky. Yeah. He'd have zero signings. His only signing would be Emre Gula from Canberra, who didn't really need him anyway.
He signed Kyle Flanagan.
Come on, honestly, like show you the state of the club.
That's harsh. That's
but listen,
honestly,
just to show you the state of St. George, your son's more experienced than that Liking King Toga. Liking King Toga is the one having to play halfback, who's actually a 5'8", just to accommodate his son, who's played about 100 first-grade games, who, mind you, that I don't know why his father just doesn't tap him on his shoulder and say, look, son, Brad Arthur told his son, Brad Arthur, he's not first-grade material, so you're not first-grade material. Tap him on his shoulder and please stop with this. He's holding back a whole club. Anyways, the comparison there is, and I've seen this happen before in the world of boxing and the world of rugby league. Yes, I've been around football managers since I was a young kid and athletes and whatnot. And I won't even elaborate on a story here. I don't think I need to share who I was involved with or whatnot. But Gus Gould did the right thing. Don't ever tell everyone what they don't need to know. You don't need to lie. Yeah. You don't need to tell the truth. You just don't need to tell them what they need to know. Simple as that. I guarantee if he fed them these every move and played the good boy to Michael Shamus, and mind you, I love that interview that Michael Shamus did. It was a nice, healthy discussion between Michael Shamus and, Michael didn't hold back, and it's good. He didn't, and Gus didn't hold back. It was great. I love that discussion between journo and football administrator. Absolutely loved it. It needed to happen. But I guarantee if he played, what's his name? Fuzz Rothfield or something? Or Buzz Rothfield? Is that his name? If he played his little pet, this still wouldn't have happened. He'd still be at the Tigers. Because everyone believes that the Tigers own Lachlan Galvin. That's what would have happened. Now he's going to be a one-club player. Anyways, over to you. I had my rant.
Gus good. Everyone else, bad. I think that's summarizing it in 2 sentences. So very quickly, I want to go over just the Dolphins game in very brief fashion. Can you believe there was a game we lost 44-8 5-6 days ago? So my thoughts on the game. Mahoney and Tracy didn't have their best performances for us. We were lacking 10.
And we got a preview Origin. Sorry.
We'll preview Origin very quickly after this. I thought that Todd Smith performance was the worst performance I've seen by a referee this year, even including the crackdown. I thought it was really poor performance by Todd Smith, but it was also a poor performance by us. Isaiah Katoa absolutely killed us with his kicking game in the rain. We sort of had no response. And I guess what's disappointing is that, we had our full spine. And our full spine couldn't deliver. And that's sort of very disappointing because I thought Sexton could have really driven home the point that he is great and he didn't. So that was disappointing for me. I thought Burton had a great game. He was one of the only guys that was trying. Yeah, it's just, we conceded like 4 tries in the last 10 minutes. That's unlike the Bulldogs. It's very unlike the Bulldogs. But we were missing 10 players.
Loving
I
this
know the
reminder.
Dolphins were missing
Keep
as
going.
well. Look, Dolphins are missing as well. And to be honest, I actually think that these games don't mean too much to us. Like, we lost
That game
against the
doesn't matter.
Broncos.
That game doesn't matter at all. It's just
It
put a line
doesn't.
through it and forget about it.
But the
That
one thing that
Dolphins game, I didn't even think harshly of his after that game. I just thought, meh, shit weather, missing about half a dozen players or something like that.
But can you agree?
I just thought, they played badly, and I thought, okay, you're gonna have a bad game. Meh, move on, recover next week.
Can we all agree that the Bulldogs are really poor in wet weather? I think it's becoming abundantly obvious that we can't play wet weather footy. And
I'll just hold off yet. Don't go too far.
And another thing I want to point out is we're playing small ball footy, and everyone's wondering why teams get a roll on against us in the first half and why we can't attack. When you're playing small ball footy, I don't know, I'm calling it small ball. You guys can call it whatever you want. When we have undersized props or second rowers or whatever locks playing at prop, it's necessarily part of the game plan that the other team with big props is going to get a roll on. And then we have to run them down in the second half, whether that be in defense or whether that be with fitness or whatever. But I think it's a necessary result of playing small ball. Once we get our props back, I actually think that those big deficits won't happen anymore. Because I think if you include the likes of Tupanua, Preston, King, so on and so forth, we don't lose too much up front. We don't get beaten with the speed of the play the ball. And so, it's a natural consequence of that. Got to shout out to Curran, played, I think, all 80 minutes or close
Curran
to.
was great.
What a
Hopboy scored his first try. Absolutely
Hopboy,
elated
amazing.
for him. How do you drop him? Again, I know I've said this before, but how do you drop him? There was a lot of good to come out of that.
Can I agree with you on something, Elmo? On the game, we're the footy, right? So the Bulldogs, I've been trying to work out what's happening with the Bulldogs. When I used to play rugby league, I was a prop forward, I was a big boy. So I always noticed in wet football games, I could play longer and stay on the field almost the whole game and not even get out of breath. Softer. It slows down. The game slows down. Now, what have the Bulldogs done? They've mastered a system which tires out the opposition. So if the game is not conducive to the conditions in which you can tire out the opposition, which is exactly what happens in wet weather, our system falls apart. You notice versus Brisbane, versus the Roosters, versus Canberra, we came back in the second half when they were tired, and we're running home with a wet sail. We're tiring teams out. Wet weather football, and it's not the first time, and Penrith were like this when they were running under Ciraldo's system. They struggled in wet weather. If we're versing a team that's physically superior to us in size, and they don't get tired out because the wet weather slows down. The weather slows down the game. The boots are muddier. You got to slow down when you're picking up the ball. You got to be careful when you're catching the ball. When you're used to running at much higher intensity, the intensity drops a level. It actually ruins the Bulldogs. We need to play fast games, tiring out the opposition, come home with a wet sail for us to do what we do best. Now, this also happens as match fitness increases in the opposition. So last year we came home and we lost the last 2 games, Cowboys, Manly, then we lost Manly again in the finals, and everyone's like, what's happening? What's happening to the opposition as the season goes on is their match fitness and general fitness is increasing as the season goes on. So the potency of our system, which tires opposition, is less potent. And I think this is something we need to work around and say, okay, we understand that is what's going to happen. Just being fitter, our back three just doing extra work and our line speed is not going to carry us through in the second half of the season that it did in the first half. It's not going to carry us through in wet weather, although I don't think we have to worry much about wet weather. Next few months it should slow down. How can we now pivot our game to be an attacking force and to still be on top despite those conditions?
Look, as that FM is saying, it's great insight, and it's a great point that you've made. I do agree that teams do get fitter in the back half of the season, and so we sort of start to buckle a little bit. But I don't think we did that last year. Like against the Manly and the Cowboys, what I understood, and I spoke to someone well in the know at the club, is what they observed in the sheds was the ultimate relief after we were confirmed to be in the 8. The boys actually let their hair down a little bit, right? So if we're looking at 2024, I think that's what happened back then. Now, this year, I think is a different kettle of fish. I think we're a bigger team. I think we're a stronger team. And I think our forwards are better than they were last year. So you look at Preston this year, I actually think he's gone to a whole new level. That's the first thing. I think Max King, has gone to a whole new level. But then we've got Tupanua. I think Tupanua is a massive, massive feather in our cap on the bench. Then you remember, like, Haywood is now playing like a seasoned professional. He's actually playing like he's been a first grader for 10 years. So I think we're.
I think he was lackluster versus the Dolphins, but did you like Haywood versus the Dolphins? I think he let us down versus the Dolphins. It's the first time I've lost. I was not happy with his performance.
I don't think he let us down specifically. I thought Mahoney and Tracy were the ones that probably needed to take a good look in the mirror for that game. But I'm not even blaming them for that game in particular. I think that I was saying before about a key man dependency, right? And I think Critter is becoming almost too important to the team in the way he can control the mentality of the team. So, like, for example, like when you look at Ciraldo, the reason why Critter isn't kicking and Burden is because Critter is too crucial in the huddle after we score a try. And that's why they've got Burden kicking. He actually said that in a press conference.
Oh, I didn't know that was the reason. So that's okay.
Yeah, that's the reason. Yeah.
There you go. Wow.
Yeah,
so he's so important to the morale. You're saying he's not as important to the playing performance. It's that he's such a morale boost that it's almost a key man dependency.
I think in both ways. I think both as a player in the team, physically in the back line, but also as a leader, he's becoming a key man dependency, right? He's becoming that important that without him being out there, honestly, if you look at the Roosters game, without him there, we don't win. The Raiders game, without him there, we don't win. I think that's the level of leadership that he brings to the team. And so when you look at everything else, it doesn't really matter any context. If we're missing Critter and we're missing Kingy and we're missing Kiraz, who I also think is a spiritual leader. Believe it or not, as young as he is, he's a spiritual leader. Like, if you look against the Roosters, our comeback came on the back of that break that Kiraz made right up the middle. He's a spiritual leader. So when you miss those players who are the heart and soul of the club, you can bring in the best talent, and I still feel like you're not gonna be able to aim up. And so we were just missing too many players against the Dolphins. But I don't think anyone played well other than Curran and Hopboy. I really think I don't think Turpin was good. I didn't think Taff was good, even though he was playing out of position.
You could tell Taff has not been playing NRL for a while. The way
100%. I think even Sherry, right? I don't think Sherry played as good as we needed him to. But again, I go back and say we had our whole spine. We had no excuse. We have zero excuses for playing the way we did. They were missing Hammer. They're missing Jeremy Marshall-King. They're missing Max Plath. They're missing who else? They're missing Flegler. They're missing the other prop that got injured recently. Like, they were missing so many players as well. So we have no excuses, really, to lose by such a big margin. Anyway, that's my rant on the Dolphins game. I was there. There was 10,000 people, right? It felt like a 2021 game where, you'd go to the game, it was shit weather, you'd get smashed by 40 and you'd come home disappointed. But I wasn't disappointed. It was good. I enjoyed being there.
And everyone should watch your vlog of the game. Excellent viewing. If you haven't watched it, make sure you watch the vlog.
Thank you so much. I love those blogs. You know what? Like the insights, I just enjoy so much. I love creating them and shooting them. Honestly, is so much fun. Just knowing that someone's going to look at me and say, "Who is this wanker? Why is he so passionate about a footy game?"
I love it, man.
I always get that feeling.
It was atrocious weather.
Yeah, it was really bad.
You went in atrocious weather. I was impressed. I'm like, wow, he actually.
But I meant Gilbert as well. They're missing Gilbert. They're missing Tom Gilbert. That's the one who they're missing as well. Like, their captain. So, they were missing a lot. Sorry, go ahead, Dibbo.
I put a line through that game. sorry, Dibbo. Just last thing. I put a line through that
I'm
game
good.
and say, wet weather, stars are out. Everything is going on. Yeah, it's going to be an anomaly. We should bounce back.
I think we will bounce back. If you do go X Defiance said, I watched it all. All I heard was someone shouting at the ref the whole video. That's all that video was. It was just one 25-minute what's it called? 1 25-minute rant at the ref. That's all I did the whole freaking show because the ref was so shit. Just watching it, like you could see how bad he was. Anyway, I'm not putting it down to the ref. I was just saying it's really funny because all I did was rant at the ref the whole time. So yeah. Anyway, bad game. Put a line through it. I think that we go out at the King's birthday clash and we absolutely smash the Eels. Galvin to score a hat trick. That's my tip for the game.
Oh wow!
No, I don't think it'll be that. Now, do you guys have any last comments about that Dolphin game? I want to sort of preview the Origin game tomorrow.
Let's do it.
All right, guys. So right now, what we're going to do is we're going to preview the Origin game. I'm going to start by saying I think that Queensland, or that Billy Slater, is the Brad Fittler of Queensland. Billy Slater is the Brad Fittler of Queensland. He makes dumb decisions. He's got poor advisors around him, and he tries to use some sort of abstract notion of Queenslander to get through an Origin series. I think that them choosing DCE is a mistake. I think that them having Robert Toya over Selwyn Cobbo is a mistake. They've got a shit bench. And I think the Blues should get this 3-0. Update, I think Critter is going to play, according to Frank Panisi, the one of the medical staff for the Blues. They're saying that Critter has a cork, but he will play. Haas is confirmed to play, thank God. Tantalizingly, we're going to see Haas against Tino in Origin. Bro, like knowing that it's going to be Haas and Tino going head to head for like 60 minutes it's as a rugby league fan, forget being a Doggies fan. As a rugby league fan, there is nothing better than seeing two of the best props we've seen in a very long time go head to head. What are your thoughts, guys?
Mate, for me, two props. Yeah. Sorry, I'll continue. Right. Just one line I want to say. In my childhood, it was watching Paul Harrigan and Mark Carroll smash it out. They were both New South Welshmen, but it's about City Country or Manly Newcastle. Just watching those two guys go at it is exactly like this. Payne Haas is a one-man wrecking machine. It's not natural what he can do and for how long he can do it for. So I'm just glad he's on our side. That's me, Dibbo.
No, that's a great shout. I love that New South Wales forward pack of the 90s. You had Ciro, Chief, Bradley, Clyde. They were the heavy hitters for us. Ian Roberts was there. I know what people think of Ian Roberts, but I'll tell you what, when it came to State of Origin, geez, I don't think anyone hit harder than him. Look, for me, I reckon Billy's chosen a better side this year. Like last year, he didn't have Tina Asua Malaawi, and he didn't have our nemesis Cam Munster in that lineup. He's got them both this year. Like to get Coggy carried away, I think, and just to contrast Red, I think I'm glad Cobbo's not in that Queensland team because I wouldn't have him there. Robert Toy's a young kid. It's a big gamble, but he's going to eventually play sometime. I don't think his form's not warranted Origin selection, to be honest. He does have those big mistakes in him. It's going to be a tight game tomorrow. I'll tell you what. It's going to be a tough one. I'm telling you, I think a few weeks ago I tipped Queensland by 8. I'm still hoping New South Wales win this.
What's your prediction now, Devo?
Man, Critter's going to play injured. I think he's going to take a needle and play injured. Like, it's just, he's under an injury cloud. He's under a big injury cloud. And then Payne Haas is past his fitness test. But it's got to be concerned. If Critter plays in the needle, then what happens there? He's definitely not playing for He could potentially be missing for Canterbury for a few weeks if he's going to play with the needle.
The thing is, because it's only a cork, not an injury. So he's just got a cork and a bit of a bruise. So it's not a serious injury. Yeah. So they're saying it's a cork. They've confirmed, like NRL.com 1 hour ago, saying that he's overcome the cork and he'll be playing. Now, I disagree with you so vehemently, Dibbo, that I can't believe you think that the Queensland have chosen a good team. Munster picks himself, so does Tino.
Right.
Their bench is beyond trash. I think that's the first thing. The second thing is,
can you read out their bench to me and then read out New South Wales?
Dearden,
Yep.
hang on. Sorry, you're right. Let me just
Loero?
get it up.
Yeah, that's right. Loero's there, you're right.
Yeah. So Dearden, Loero, they've got the Titans.
And Collins.
Fermor and Collins. Collins has played.
What's wrong with Fermor?
Collins has played one game. Yeah? Collins has played one game in the last 8 weeks.
Yep.
And
Bit of a gamble,
Bo Fermor is the second rower. He's going to provide no impact off the bench. You compare that to our bench. Connor Watson, Spencer Leniu, Hudson Young, Max King. You could argue Hudson Young should have been replaced by Olakau'atu or Terrell May or whatever, or Max Terrell May should have been there. But our bench, in terms of impact, is infinitely better than theirs, right? Trent Loero is debuting. I think Bo Fermor's probably played one game, or he's debuting, right? Whereas we're not. The only debutant we have is Max King, and he's not there for impact, right? The other thing is, look, I'm going to be really honest with you. Cameron Munster hasn't been in great form this year, and David Cherry-Evans is past it. He can't defend and won't be able to defend up against Crichton or up against Latrell Mitchell. And I think Mitchell Moses and Nathan Cleary are going to run rings around them. Our props, Barnett, Haas, Martin, Crichton, Yo, Leniu, they've got Nanai and Cotter in the second row. These people can't defend for their lives. I understand this is Origin, but I still don't understand. Like they've missed the trick here.
And didn't Queensland win a few series in a row with those guys?
I want to play devil's advocate for you, Elmo.
Go for it.
The contingent of my team, which is out of form, and they picked themselves on prior form, I think, is Angus Crichton, Liam Martin, and you're going to hate me for saying it. Nathan Cleary, I don't think is back to where he's not at his best. He's a great player, and I'd pick him every day of the week, and he's proven himself, and he doesn't have to, be having the best season to be picked. But I don't know if you've been watching Liam Martin or Angus Crichton closely this year. They both have not been formidable at all compared to previous years. Last year, Angus Crichton couldn't be tackled.
Yeah, but you know what? I'll tell you now. Crichton's building up. His performances have gotten stronger and stronger. Even last week, Liam Martin's been flat this year completely.
He was purely there out of loyalty.
I agree, and I agree with you on Crichton, but he's building up. He is building up.
Last week, yeah, okay. But you don't think Liam Martin is an Origin style player and that he deserves?
Oh, you got to put him in there because he might have a barnstormer. You got to put him in there.
He will have a barnstormer. The bloke is a kamikaze missile. So. He will. But then you look at Ruben Cotter and Jeremiah Nene. They've been worse than Liam Martin and Angus Crichton. That's my point. My point is that he's tried to go with loyalty. Billy Slater. He's tried to go with some semblance of loyalty in that Queensland spirit. But he's got an overall weak team. Mawaki Foraweka, I'm sorry. He's got the starting pack of the Titans, the props. Tino is a freak, and I actually think Tino and Haas are almost equal. They almost cancel each other out. They're that good. But then if you look at how well Barnett has been this year and Foraweka, sorry, but it doesn't compare. Even I'm with you that Cleary has been a bit flat, but actually, if you watch the Panthers play, Cleary touches the ball about 50 times a set. Cleary has been great in a really bad team. You look at what he did to the Broncos at Suncorp.
If you get the Cleary that wants to run, then you got the Cleary you want. If you get the Cleary that's moving the ball around only, it just depends. If he inserts himself into the game, there's no one better.
I just think Cleary had, when he played up there in Suncorp on Magic Round, he was incredible.
Oh, that was amazing. That was amazing.
Yeah, that's the Cleary we're going to get. Couple him with Mitchell Moses. Great running game, great long kicking game, great short game, short side play. I don't know. I don't know. I just think that there's we're too good of a team. We're too good of an all-round team. And here's the thing: if we win in Suncorp on tomorrow night, I think the Blues will get a whitewash. That's my genuine opinion. And I'm telling you now, Toya, it's a very bad mistake. It's a very, very bad decision to debut Toya against Latrell.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, but
it's going to be dangerous.
Latrell has never lost a series. Latrell's never lost a series. He's intimidating. He's aggressive, and I think that he's the only centre after Greg Inglis in the modern NRL landscape, anyway, that has such an intimidation factor. Queensland hate him. Every time he never got chosen for New South Wales, Queensland will be like, "Oh crap, we're gonna win. We know we're gonna win." The minute he gets chosen, he's just gonna be like, that's it. The Queenslanders don't know what's going on. So,
Elmer, they want to know. Would you say this is the worst Queensland team ever?
That's no, because when you've got the likes of Tino, when you've got the likes of Munster, Grant, Kalen Ponga, they're a formidable team. Don't get me wrong, they're a formidable team. I just think that Billy Slater thinks he's painting a picture or some shit, like he's trying to be an artist. Brother, this is not art. This is rugby league. Yeah, as Hassan Dato was saying, they call him the bush poet. Brother, pick the right team. Don't pick the one that you think is going to make you look whatever or take some daring actions. You're not like, for example, he was willing to debut Robert Toya against the Joe Mitchell, but he wasn't willing to bring in what's his name, Jamal Fogarty at 7, even though Jamal Fogarty has been out playing DCE all year. I think Jamal Fogarty would be a much better option. DCE is too slow defensively, and even in attack, even though his IQ's there, but his body can't keep up with his brain. I'm being serious. Everyone thinks, I'm talking shit. I think DCE is one of the best 7s we've ever seen. But there comes to a point, he's going to be the oldest player to ever play Origin. He's older than Petro Siva. The dude's almost 37.
He's older than Billy Slater. Norm said that also our fullback Dylan Edwards not having the best year, man. I say we lose game 1, and we shouldn't. We shouldn't lose game 1. We lose game 1, but you'll see Tedesco come straight in for Edwards.
Look, in my Origin video, I chose Edwards at fullback for a reason, and that's not because I think Edwards particularly is a better fullback. I chose Edwards because I think that when you have dominant halves, Tedesco doesn't know how not to be a hog. Tedesco is a ball hog, right? He's not passive enough. Yeah, as a fullback. When you have Edwards is more passive. Edwards is happy to let the halves control and him slot in where he's needed. That's why I think he works so well with Sandon Smith and Hugo Savala, because he can demand the ball.
He's the man. Whereas I think, that team.
Yeah, he's the man. He's got that main character energy. Whereas when you've got Cleary and Moses there, you can't have that type of fullback, which is why I think Edwards is a better fit. If you were to ask me, I think it should have been Pappenhausen over both Tedesco and Edwards. That's my genuine opinion. I think it should have been Pappenhausen there. And I even said in my video, Pappenhausen is a freak. Pappenhausen should be in that conversation. But I'm not sad that Edwards is there. I think that Edwards is fantastic for Origin, and I think he'll do a great job. And we will not lose tomorrow night. I don't bet. So, if you say, I'll bet you this, but I'm very confident. I'm very, very confident that the New South Wales team, the only way they lose is like they did game 1 last year. Someone gets sent off.
That's it. That's what happened last year. If it wasn't for the send-off, Suali in the 8th minute or whatever, we win that 3-0.
Yeah, honestly, I believe that. And so I think this year our team is far superior. It just comes down to the coach. And the one thing that has me really confident, it's very interesting, is when you watch all the videos, it's not Laurie Daly that's coaching. It's Craig Bellamy. Laurie Daly is just there to take off all the media responsibilities. That's all it is. It's the front. You know what I mean? He's the front end. Craig Bellamy's the back end. Craig Bellamy's the smart.
You're right. So it's the Craig Bellamy redemption story.
Absolutely. And that's why I think like Craig Bellamy is one of the best coaches we've ever seen. And it gives me confidence. And I just think Billy Slater's trying to get too fancy with his team, and wants to talk about, I don't know, Queensland picks its team. Brother, shut up. Brother, shut your mouth. You're starting to sound like Brad Fittner now, talking all this abstract rubbish. Anyway, that's my rate about New South Wales. What do you guys think? Anything I've missed?
Who's refereeing?
Ashley Klein.
Well, there you go. In Queensland as well. You're forgetting we're playing Queensland in Queensland with a Queensland ref.
I don't mind Ashley Klein. I think he's been okay.
Oh, he's the worst ref. I don't know how he's been a first-grade ref for so long.
I thought he was good in the grand final last year. I don't think the referee. I think as long as the Blues keep their discipline about them, I just think the Blues have too much. That's my genuine opinion. And in fact, I think that the Blues are going to win. I think I'd say 24-10 or 24-8. The Blues are going to be going to kill them.
He's not. This guy would be the Blues' #1 supporter. He forgets that Laurie Daly's also the coach as well and selector. So yeah.
But we just said Craig Bellamy's the one pulling all the strings.
Please, Bellamy could even coach a series win. Doesn't matter what he pulls.
So I think
Apple came back nothing.
20. I think it's going to be something like 24-8. And I think man of the match is going to be Nathan Cleary. What are your predictions, guys? Guys, let me know your predictions in the comments as well.
Yeah. I'm going to go 22-14. Oh, fuck. Queensland. Man of the match will be Tino Fa'asua Mala'awi.
You've got no clue, Dibbo. You've got absolutely no clue whatsoever. You have no clue.
I'm going to go 30-20 Blues with Latrell Mitchell scoring the last try.
Oh, that'll be nice.
Oh, man of the match. Is he man of the match?
Trell.
Trell, that's a mad call. Bro, Trell looks locked in. You look at all the videos, everything, the bloke looks so locked in. Like, it's scary. And I think Queensland don't get origin. I think they just don't understand just how locked in. Because when Latrell's locked in, like, just get him the ball early. And look, Mitchell Moses playing on the left, great long pass game, great short passing game, great running game. If he's running those lines, if he's running the inside line into DCE, bro, if you run him and Crichton, if you run Latrell and Crichton at DCE for the first half, in the second half, he's going to break. I just don't think Queensland have got the team right. And I'm calling a big game for the Blues. And with that, we've been live for over 2 hours. We still have 38 people live, which is absolutely amazing. The support is just, bro, it's unreal. I love everybody. I'm so happy to be doing this. John, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you, guys.
To everyone that's still there, Dibbo, thank you very much. To everyone still in the chat, Scott Wood, EK, Eddie Abbas, Norm Eder, Doggy71, X Defiant, Jamie Teasdale, just everyone, Moon FM, Brian, I love you all. Thank you so much for all your support. It means so much. I really enjoy this. Thank you very much. Any final thoughts, quick thoughts about Galvin? Anything before we go, John?
Mate, I'd just like to say that I think in about 6 games' time, we're going to forget that he wore any other jersey than a blue and white jersey. He's going to be part of the fabric of the team, and we're going to look back and go, I can't believe that he wasn't actually our halfback all along.
I absolutely agree. And just on that, Jamie Teasdale's giving us 10. Good one as always, boys. Up the Dogs. Oh, and go Queensland. To the next one. Hey, Jamie, we're going to catch up with you when you're down here. When you're down here for the Brisbane game, we've got to catch up. Maybe we can do like a kennel meetup or something like that. Just a very impromptu one before the game.
Later, Scotty.
Let's organise it. Have a good night, Scotty. And look, I agree with you, John, because if you think about it, can you even imagine that Critter has won 3 grand finals with the Panthers and it looks like he's never ever played for them? It's just mind-blowing.
That's the feeling.
Dibbo, any quick last comments?
I'm just laughing about para fans being so salty and coming on the socials and trying to fight us. Like, why is even coming on here? You didn't sign him. Go fight your own team management. You know,
I agree.
Why is he being salty? Like, what did he signed with? Too late. He signed. What's gonna happen now? Are you gonna start just bad mouthing? Like, I was just laughing. I wouldn't play for that.
It's great. It's a great call. Look, Para fans, stay salty. Tigers fans, you missed out. Doggies fans, we're the beneficiaries. The Dogs know what they're doing. We trust in Gus and Ciro. We trust. Thank you so much, guys. I hope the Blues have an absolutely big game tomorrow, and I hope our prediction comes true. The Blues to win 3-0. The Dogs minor premiers to win the premiership. Up the
Doggies,
Dogs,
baby.
go the Blues. Let's go, Doggies. Have a good one, boys. Have a good night. Thank you so much for all your time.
See you, Johnny.
Take care.
Take care.
See you,
See you,
boys.
John.
Thank you.
See you, mate.